Today during Asian Crash Course, we'll be talking about Japan during World War II. But in this episode, of the many countries they affected, we'll only be covering a few countries according to specific events because of their unpopularity in history and because of their need for understanding what the world is now. The countries of our main focus today that Japan had affected are the Philippines, China, and Korea. To understand how Japan's aggression led them to enter World War II, you must first understand that years beforehand, Japan had already been invading countries to expand their imperialism and annex them as territory. Japan yearns to expand with the main goal of supplying their country with resources. Food, oil, materials, all that good stuff. As Japan begins to occupy much of Southeast Asia, this begins to worry the United States as the US has main control over the trade routes and lots of raw material. In response, US President Roosevelt puts Japan's assets to a halt by placing an oil embargo to slow down their expansion. And it does. Japan quickly then sees this as an act of war and then begins their revenge against the US in the attack on Pearl Harbor by ambushing their fleet from air superiority, officially joining the Pacific Theater on December 7, 1941. Of these three countries during World War II, Japan had largely affected China in one of the worst atrocities of World War II and even the century, the rape of Nanking, formerly known as the Nanjing Massacre. This event took place on December 13, 1937, the day the Japanese captured the city of Nanjing, where an estimated number of 40,000 to over 300,000 disarmed Chinese civilians were brutally murdered and many of them raped by the Japanese troops. This event has caused opinions of both sides to heat against each other in modern day, with even minor protests and political disputes, as some deny the crime ever happened or that it was merely an exaggeration. Secondly, the Philippines. Despite its size, it is surplus in food and is a perfect strategic location for Pacific warfare. Unfortunately for Japan, this at the time was US territory. Japan realized its importance and sought the opportunity to invade and occupy on December 8, 1941, which is just 10 hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor. By that time, thousands of troops were already mobilized on the archipelago, successfully capturing it just about 6 months later on June 9, 1942. Japanese occupation in the Philippines continued until the Empire of Japan officially surrendered in World War II. All hostilities of Japan were beginning to close as the Japanese instrument of surrender was formally signed upon on September 2, 1945. The Philippines was then liberated by the Allied forces, and from this effect, the Philippines gained independence. Negative results for the Philippines included an estimated 1 million dead Filipinos and a huge amount of physical destruction of the country. As you might have heard me say before, Korea. Yes, the former country of Korea. Korea became a protectorate of Japan and was annexed by them before World War II on August 22, 1910, through the Japan-Korea Treaty of 1910. By months, thousands of new Japanese residents came into Korea, seeking land. By 1939, Koreans were even forced to adopt Japanese surnames. I mean, come on, that far? Let's say this, if my name was Harold, and someone forced me to change my name to Paget, I mean, who would want that? No one. During World War II, about 450,000 Korean males were sent to forced labor. As the tides were turning against Japan in 1944, Japan needed to support the military effort. In result, about 200,000 Korean males were drafted into the armed forces. Once Imperial Japan surrendered to the Allied forces on August 15, 1945, after the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and being overrun by Russian forces, Korea was liberated from Japan's 35-year occupation. With Soviet-Russian forces coming in from the north of Korea and American troops coming from the south, on September 8, 1945, U.S. Colonel Dean Rusk and Soviet military administrator Chizhikov quickly agreed to split Korea on the 30th parallel according to the government ideals, the north to be communist, south to be capitalist. That division led to the Cold War-based Korean War, another story that led to a ceasefire, no victor, more hatred, more death, and the continuous demilitarized zone that still stands today. But that's another story. Korea actually has longer history of rebellion and relations with Japan, but being colonized for the longest with countless events and a variety of results makes it the country that was affected greatest by Japan among the three. This is based on cultural and political impacts.
Thank you for watching.
The Toy Boy here. Watch our other Asian Crash Course videos. I'm really hungry right now.